All right, and DD India's Amrit Pal Singh joins us live in the story. And also I have Prabhu Dayal, he is former senior diplomat, joins us on the broadcast today. Hello Amrit and hi sir. Very warm welcome both of you to DD India News. First to you Amrit, how important is this visit by President Putin, keeping in mind the bilateral ties between both the countries?
Well, it's a very significant visit by President Putin. President Putin, he was here in December 2021, though the two leaders have met outside recently on the sidelines of the SCO in China. This visit is important from the perspective of India-Russia ties, the bilateral ties, which it's a special privileged, special strategic partnership which spans the entire gamut of bilateral relations, from defense to energy security, cooperation in civil, energy, space, agriculture, health, tourism, people-to-people ties, trade. During this visit, all that will be up for discussion. About 7 or 8 of his ministers, cabinet ministers, some of them are already here. One of their first deputy prime minister visited the parliament today. The agriculture minister met with the agriculture minister. The defense minister is accompanying President Putin. He'll be holding talks with Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. His interior minister is coming. The head of the Central Bank of Russia is coming. So, the whole gamut of relationships will be discussed. The ties. There will be a review, a stock taking of where the existing cooperation is going, what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be boosted up. So all that will happen. Also, where do they want to take the relationship forward? For example, they're looking at a plan by boosting bilateral trade to about $100 billion by 2030, deepening more deepening the defense partnership by looking at more joint co-production ventures. Also, looking at civil nuclear energy, they could offer small modular reactors. So all that will be reviewed. The relationship will be reviewed, and a vision will be put forward to a way to take it in the future, Siddharth.
Definitely. Stay with us, Amrit. I would like to go across to Mr. Prabhu Dayal now. Sir, our correspondent Amrit Pal Singh just told us the entire gamut of bilateral ties will be discussed when the two leaders will meet. I want to ask you that how significant, according to you, is this visit by President Putin and, of course, the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit?
Well, first of all, let me say that Amrit Pal Singh has wonderfully summed up the entire gamut of the India-Russia bilateral relationship. Now, this visit to India by President Putin is highly significant as it aims to reaffirm and strengthen their special and privileged strategic partnership amidst a challenging global geopolitical landscape and also increasing Western pressure on India. Donald Trump's aggressive policies and rhetoric have inadvertently pushed India to reaffirm and strengthen its long-standing strategic ties with Russia. The pressure campaign by the United States has proved to be a self-goal that has reinforced India's resolve to pursue its strategic autonomy. Now, Putin's visit is seen as significant for India's foreign policy. It's a very strong signal of the long-standing and trusted relationship with Russia, even as the United States has imposed tariffs on India over its high tariffs, as he called it, and the continued purchase of Russian oil. Now, this visit is intended to deliver major outcomes and reinforce the relationship. Of course, the two leaders will discuss regional and global developments, including, of course, the Ukraine conflict. Now, let me recall that the Prime Minister had told President Putin that this is not an era of war. So the Prime Minister will underline his views in regard to the global situation, particularly the Ukraine conflict. In addition, of course, there will be the issue of cooperation within international bodies like the United Nations, BRICS, G20, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where both Russia and India are members. Let me mention that Russia supports India's demand for a permanent UNSC seat. So a vision document is expected to be signed, laying out a roadmap for cooperation across various sectors, of course, including defense, trade, shipbuilding, and various other aspects which are important for the bilateral relationship. Now, permit me to mention that defense remains a central pillar of cooperation. And the discussions are expected to focus on critical projects like the joint development of a fifth-generation fighter jet, further S-400 missile deliveries, and of course, the potential production jointly of the S-500 systems. So the leaders are expected to move forward with defense projects, and this is the most important underlying theme of the visit. Let me also mention that very significantly, just ahead of President Putin's visit, the Russian parliament has cleared the reciprocal exchange of logistics support, which is known as the reloss agreement, and which is very important because it's a military logistics pact with India. I also would like to say that apart from defense, there will be a lot of focus on boosting trade and investment, particularly in energy and addressing payment challenges. You know, the sanctions on Russia, which have been imposed by the United States, are posing a challenge in regard to the payments in Western currencies. So there is this question whether India and Russia can make payments in their local currencies or in third currencies. Let me also mention that India and Russia have committed to boosting bilateral trade to a target of $100 billion by 2030. Of course, currently, the trade, bilateral trade is about 68 point some odd billion dollars. And of that, Indian exports are just about $4.9 billion.
They are less than $5 billion. Definitely,
there is a need to increase Indian exports, and the two sides will discuss modalities how this can be done.
Definitely. Sir, we will discuss in detail about the energy and defense fronts, but let me go across to my correspondent Amrit Pal Singh. Amrit, our esteemed guest has complimented you for your analysis. On that note, I would like to ask you, can you analyze the bilateral trade between both the countries? Because sir has just said that it stands somewhere at 68.7, I beg your pardon, billion US dollars. And India's exports are less than $5 billion. So what's your analysis on that front?
That's very right when he says that apart from defense, the key focus of the because correcting from an Indian point of view would be key. Because there's a huge difference, 5 and close to about 69, 64, 65, 64 point something. And 5 is what we export to them. So correcting that would be a key concern for India, and they could Indians could look at Russian markets, be in engineering products, increasing agriculture and food-based products, exporting them to Russia. Though this figure, when you look at it, the pitch large, but that's mainly because of the oil purchases. So bear in mind. But yes, the fact remains that we import more than we export. So that will be something which the two sides will be talking about. And I don't think there are any differences on that, or there are any reluctances on part of Russia. It's unlike the United States, which is trying to impose tariffs. Here, the Russians would want to collaborate even on labor mobility. They need a talent pool. We've got a huge talent pool. So there are more complementarities and really hurdles or differences. So in that sense, that will be easy path to walk. But what needs to be really done is that this trade deficit needs to be reduced, and the two sides would be talking this business forum that's happening. It's not just government to government, but also we could see many business to business agreements being signed. Both even as Russia increasingly becomes isolated by the West, Russia is looking out to other countries like China and India and other countries of the global South. So therefore, Russia is also interested in increasing its trade with these countries. So, we could see key focus on trade and investment. Both Indian investments in, say, oil sectors in Russia or the energy sector there, and the Russian investments in India. So that.
All right, definitely. Mr. Prabhu Dayal, I want to ask you that as far as India's exports are concerned, do you see them growing, especially after this summit, in the sectors like pharma, agriculture, food products, and consumer goods as well?
The major items of export from India include pharmaceuticals, organic and inorganic chemicals, iron and steel, and marine products. While the major items of import from Russia include oil and petroleum products, vegetable oil, fertilizers, cooking coal, precious stones, and metals. So there will be a lot of focus on how exports from India could be increased, because it is important from our point of view to bridge the trade gap. And of course, alongside, I also mentioned that we would be talking about how we could be trading in currencies other than the US dollar and European currencies because of the Western sanctions which have been placed on Russia in this regard. Now, in addition, let me take off from a very important point which Amrit Pal was making. And that is that a bilateral mobility agreement is expected to be signed to facilitate legal migration and also the protection of skilled Indian workers in Russia. Russia is facing a labor shortage, and the agreement will aim to establish a formal framework for legal migration and facilitate the expansion of skilled Indian manpower in key Russian economic sectors. So Russia is keen to attract skilled Indian workers in industries such as construction, textiles, engineering, electronics, and IT. So this pact will offer new employment opportunities for skilled Indian professionals and ensure that they have legal protection and dignified employment in Russia.
Definitely. Very quickly, I want to ask you, sir, that as far as this summit is concerned, what message goes out to the global world?
Well, the message that goes out to the world is that President Putin's visit is a continuation not just of regular high-level exchanges, but it is also driven by mutual strategic interests, the goal of which is to foster a multipolar order. Now, let me mention that a very important message which also goes out is that the visit is intended to reinforce the special and privileged strategic partnership that has been a consistent factor of stability in international relations. And it will allow India to pursue its national interests on the global stage.
Definitely. So you're trying to say that the ties between both the countries, they go beyond diplomacy, is it?
Yes, of course. The ties beyond diplomacy are evident. And the visit, therefore, is a test of India's diplomatic skill in balancing its historic friendship with Russia with its evolving global partnerships. And it's going to demonstrate the ability to engage with all major powers on its own pragmatic terms.
All right. With this, thank you so much, sir, for joining in on DD India News Hour, and also Amrit Pal Singh for your wonderful analysis. Thank you so much, both of you gentlemen.